Hi, everybody. Welcome to TPH Live, live from the illustrious Harris living room. With me today is, you want to come in here today? My son, Alexander, who is playing with his toys and promises he will do so quietly for the remainder of this meditation. I will, just to be safe, press mute on our end when we actually start meditating. Two things to know before we dive in. One is that this is a hospitable place for whatever your level of meditation. If this is your first time, that's cool. If you're an experienced meditator, we got you covered on that front too. We're doing this to give people a sanity break in really insane times. And we also want to create a sense of community. So we're glad you're with us today. And we brought in a heavy-hitting meditation teacher today, one of my favorite humans, Joseph Goldstein. Hey, Joseph.
Hey, Dan. It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming on. You're streaming to us from your home in Barre, Massachusetts, Barre, Massachusetts, Central Massachusetts. Can you just give people a brief sense of, how long you've been meditating? I think it started in the Mesozoic era, but can you give people a brief bio so they know who we're dealing with?
Yeah. Well, I first got interested in it when I was in the Peace Corps in Thailand after college, and this was in '65. I was in the Peace Corps 65 to 67 in Thailand. And then realized I needed a teacher and spent many years in India studying with different teachers. And then in '74 came back and started leading meditation retreats here in this country. And in '76, myself and a group of others opened the Insight Meditation Society right here in Barre. And it's just been amazing. It's as if we caught the wave of interest. It was all just an amazing grassroots spread of interest.
Well, I mean, you caught the wave, but you also helped make the wave. I know you wouldn't say that, but I would certainly say it. So I know today you wanted to talk about one way that we can deal with some of our fears and concerns about the current situation meditatively in terms of getting in touch with our body. Can you hold forth on that a little bit?
Yeah, and actually, if there's time, we may do two ways of being with these times. But getting grounded in the body is just a very helpful way. It's like a respite, from all the activity of our minds and the fears and the worries and the anxiety. It's a way if we can come back and pay attention to what's going on in our bodies. It's like a place of rest, and we then are residing in our present moment experience rather than kind of anticipated future. So it's really helpful, and it relaxes the whole system, relaxes the nervous system, and it relaxes the mind. And even if it's just for a few minutes at a time, I found it really helpful. And people can actually do this a few minutes at a time, many times a day, right, because it doesn't take much. The body's so obvious. And if we have time, maybe talk a little bit about how to watch thoughts in the mind, because by getting caught up in all of our thoughts, it can generate a lot of fear or anxiety. So being more mindful of that can be a huge help.
Great. Well, let's talk about both. Alexander, we're going to meditate now. Do you want to meditate with us, or you want to? No. Okay. There you go. That tells you everything you need to know. So I'm going to press mute over here because there are screaming cats, and who knows what Alexander's going to do. And if you're cool with it, you want to take over and guide meditation?
Sure.
Great.
Okay, so take a comfortable seat and gently close your eyes. It's helpful to be sitting straight but not stiff or tense, just sitting in a relaxed way. Close your eyes and become aware simply of your body posture, of yourself sitting. Sit and know you're sitting. And become aware of whatever you're feeling in that sitting posture. Maybe the contact of your buttocks in the cushion or the chair. Might be the contact of your feet on the floor. Sit and know you're sitting. Be aware of what you're feeling. And you might then become aware of the body breathing. It's a natural process. When you feel the body breathing in, know you're breathing in. Breathing out, know you're breathing out. Breathing in, know you're breathing in. Breathing out, know you're breathing out. Very simple. When you become aware of thoughts arising in the mind, make a soft mental note of thinking. It's like a soft whisper in the mind, acknowledging that the thought is there. Not getting caught up in the story of it or the content, just to be aware that you're thinking. The sitting, breathing in, know you're breathing in. Breathing out, know you're breathing out. You may feel different sensations in the body, become aware of them. When thoughts arise, make a soft mental note, little whisper in the mind, thinking, which helps keep you from getting lost in the thoughts or carried away by them. Simply acknowledge thinking is there, come back to the body, come back to the breath. Sit and know you're sitting. Breathing in, know you're breathing in. Breathing out, know you're breathing out. It's very simple. As soon as you become aware of a thought, make the soft mental note of thinking, and come back again to the feeling of the body. You might notice when in the thought process you become aware of it. You become aware at the very beginning, in the middle, after it's already over. At whatever point you become aware of a thought, simply make the note thinking, and again reconnecting with the feeling of the body. Reconnecting with the feeling of the breath. Reconnecting with the feeling of the body sensations in the sitting posture. Keep the eyes soft and relaxed. See if you can relax the heart. Gently settling back, letting all of these experiences present themselves. We feel the body as it appears. We feel the breath as it shows itself. We become aware of thoughts when they arise in the mind. Letting all of these experiences simply flow, arising and passing away. There's nothing to force. There's no strong effort that's needed. Settling back and being aware of what presents itself in the body, in the mind. Breathing in, know you're breathing in. Breathing out, know you're breathing out. It's that simple. If you notice other sensations in the body as you're sitting, simply become aware of those sensations. Keep the mind alert for the arising and the appearing of thoughts in the mind, thoughts or images. As soon as you become aware of them, simply make that soft mental note, thinking. If it's an image, perhaps note seeing, letting them come and go. Staying grounded in the awareness of the body. Grounded in the awareness of your sitting posture. Grounded in the awareness of the breath. Awake and alert to whatever is arising in the mind. Noting thinking or seeing if it's an image. Simply letting them come and go, returning again to the awareness of the body. As you breathe in, know you're breathing in. As you're breathing out, know you're breathing out. Come to a place of rest in this awareness of the body and the mind. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and reconnect with everything that's around you.
How'd you do? Did you meditate? No. He meditated on his toys. Thank you, Joseph. Really appreciate it. So we've got people tuning in from all over the world. We've got a question here from Sarah Herrera. I have a very different way to deal with this crisis than my husband, and that has only increased the anxiety at times. How can I be at peace with the fact that we have a different approach?
I think there's a little marital counseling here. I think that one of the easiest ways is not wanting him to be different. Like he's going to have his own way and relate to it however he does. But you can really practice the way that you find effective for yourself. And hopefully, when he sees the benefit you're getting from the meditation, that might spark some interest in his part. But I would be careful about wanting to impose your strategy on him, because he may just have a whole different mindset about it.
Yeah, my little rap about, Sarah didn't say this explicitly, but my little rap about, talking to your partner about, whether they should meditate is, I always talk about the cartoon that ran in the New Yorker a few years ago. It has two women having lunch, and one of them says to the other, "I've been gluten-free for a week and I'm already annoying." And that can happen with meditation.
Yes.
You get the zeal of the convert. So I think that advice is exactly right. Let other people come to you because they see you behaving differently rather than going around and evangelizing. Tim D asks, I got started on your app last summer and it's given me my life back. Thank you. How can I help my skeptic friends and coworkers with mindfulness during these troubling times? Wow. Okay. Totally related. Any thoughts on that?
Well, in a way, I think it's the same answer, to the previous question. It's like the best way of communicating the benefit of meditation is people seeing the changes that it's making in us. If we're less reactive and less judgmental and less angry, even marginally so, just little bit of improvement and lessening of those difficult emotions, people are going to notice, and that will trigger their a natural kind of interest and inquiry. Proselytizing about it generally doesn't work, I found. Certainly can talk about your own interest in it and what you've gained from it, but I think it has to be done in a very easeful way.
If you want to hear all about how proselytizing doesn't work, we can bring Bianca out of the bedroom and speak at length. Barbara Chadwick, thank you. How do we stop absorbing other people's negative energies that we may be isolated with and become more compassionate rather than resentful?
So this is an interesting question. And it applies generally, not only to the intensity of the current situation, but I found it very interesting when people are behaving in ways that we feel are harmful, whether it's a close relationship or anybody else. I think it's helpful if in some way we can tune in to the suffering that they're in that is causing that behavior. Because people who are happy at peace generally are not creating difficulties with other people and in their environment. It's when there's some kind of suffering that they haven't learned to be with in a constructive way yet. So it often gets expressed in these negative ways. If we're tuning into the behavior, it's easier to be reactive. If we're tuning into the suffering underneath the behavior, it's much easier to call up compassion. And I found that I've worked with that a lot, and I found it hugely effective. And often it's just a question of looking directly at the person. And often the suffering is very clear when we open our eyes and look, and we're not simply reacting to the behavior. So it's not necessarily a hidden, but that suffering is not hidden. It's right there, and it's obvious if we look. And when we look, that's more chance for a compassionate response to happen.
That's great. Chris Roger asks a very practical question. How do you meditate during periods of illness or discomfort, which can rapidly distract the mind?
This is a great question. The discomfort or the illness or the disease and all the symptoms, every way we're experiencing it in the body and the mind becomes the object of meditation. So can we become mindful of low energy? Can we become mindful of uncomfortable sensations? Can we become mindful of the dull state of mind? And I see this, and perhaps particularly poignant in these times, but I see practicing with illness really as practice for dying, for all of us, because probably in that dying process, things will get uncomfortable, most likely in one way or another. So have we trained ourselves previously to be okay with discomfort? It's okay. It's unpleasant. It doesn't make it pleasant, but we actually can be accepting of those unpleasant feelings and develop a kind of calm in the face of disease or in the face of discomfort, in the body and the mind. So this is actually a very good opportunity to practice it now and not wait until the last moments when it'll probably be too late to start training our minds. We could think of life as a training period, a training period for dying. And so I use illness a lot in that way. I say, okay, can I be with this? And it's becomes a very powerful meditation and very expansive. We enlarge our understanding of what we can be aware of, what we can be mindful of, which really includes everything. There's nothing in our experience that we can't be mindful of.
Obviously, I agree with you. Well, I suspect there are some people who are having the thought that's a little morbid. How do you respond when people say that?
Well, it is interesting because sometimes people do feel even talking about death is morbid. But I think it's really worth investigating that because somebody once asked, what's the cause of death? And the teacher answered, the cause of death is birth. If we're born, we will die. So this is not morbid. This is just nature. This is the natural unfolding of things. So it's a completely normal, natural event. But often we don't see it that way. And we can get caught up in all kinds of fear or worry, anxiety, forgetting this is just nature at work. And it's universal. The birth is the cause of death. I love that line because it just undercuts a lot of our particular conditioning around it.
Yeah, this is something we've tried to talk about with Alexander, who has these questions, and just describing it as part of nature, it really does make it easier to understand, to grok. You have a question? He's asking if I'm almost done. Yes.
Yeah. I will. Just one more thing. And I think the more we can have the conversation about it, the less morbid it feels.
Yes. Yes.
So I think talking about it is really a powerful way of normalizing it.
Right. Okay. I'm going to take this a little longer than we normally go, just because a question came over the transom that I think is really powerful and important. So if it's okay with you, Joseph, I'm going to hold you for a couple extra minutes. So Jenny Dirksen asks, I lost someone dear to me to coronavirus. Suggestions for sitting during times of grief. It's challenging to move out of the thinking space. First of all, Jenny, our condolences. I'm really sorry. But now I'm going to hand it to somebody much smarter to answer the actual question.
Well, I think that there are two aspects to it. One is really be open and mindful of whatever feelings are arising. You know, whether it's the sadness, whether it's the grief, in whatever way it's manifesting, can we settle back and just open and feel what we're feeling mindfully, so that we're not in the vortex of those feelings, but we're actually being mindful of them. Then I would say might be very helpful to do some of the loving kindness meditation, because even when somebody has died, our love for them has not died. You know, and we can tap into that love even after they've passed away. And so then we're residing not so much on the grief side of things, but of reinforcing and strengthening the loving feelings that we've had and can continue to have. And I think that's an important point, that love doesn't stop with death. And the more we understand that and practice it, so then we're really living more in a place of love, you know, and less caught by the grief. But again, it's not a way of suppressing any of the emotions, the natural emotions that can come. We need to open to them, you know, and feel them, and then really cultivate the feeling of love that is already there. So it won't be hard to do.
Incredible advice. Sit tight for 1 second, Joseph. I just want to do a few things before we go. First of all, the little favors we always ask people at the end of the show. If you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, tell everybody you know about it, and go into the video description and fill out the survey, that would be awesome. Second thing I want to say is, yes, I think maybe 1.5 minutes. Does that sound cool? All right. Somebody wants me to end this. But before I end, I want to say that we every Friday we do this really cool thing. We call it the call to action segment. This week, the group that we want to get all of our community members to support is called Get Us PPE. As many of us know, PPE stands for personal protective equipment. Doctors, nurses, techs, admin people, anybody who's working in a hospital needs proper PPE, and unfortunately at this point not enough of them have it. This is an effort founded by healthcare workers to gather the essential supplies they need to deal with the pandemic right now and to distribute them to healthcare workers across the country. There's a link to donate in the description below, and 10% Happier will also be donating. Two other things to say. Our guest on Monday will be the great meditation teacher, George Mumford, friend of Joseph's. And speaking of Joseph, little plug for the 10% Happier app, which Joseph helped us launch. Please check it out if you haven't. You can do the first 7 days for free and go to 10%, all one word, 10%.com, and search the 10%, or you can search for 10% Happier in the App Store, or you can follow the link, which is also in the description below. Joseph, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
All right, everybody. Stay healthy. Stay home. We'll see you back here on Monday.